And there's audio. And good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. Okay, and I see it was a near thing, but Jamie drew first blood. David's over on Rumble. He popped in just a hair after Jamie's first comment. I see Maw's here. Good morning, Maw. And there's Dan and Megan. We got the WILBANICS clan in the house. I'll see you guys Friday.
Thanks for the soap.
Yeah, thanks for the
Boy,
soap.
out of context, that's got to be one of those things that's like, you're welcome.
And there's the Sergeant Major over on Rumble.
So, this morning, are we talking about God Save the Queen?
No. Did I miss something? Or is it just super convenient for the triple vaxxed monarch to be comfortable engaging in light duty, despite the coup?
Yeah, look, it's, I just wanted to bring it up. I realize it's, spoiler alert, I know what our thumbnail looks like. Chris and I already talked about what we were going to be the main topic of today's show, but I just wanted to put it out there. And hey, has Putin invaded Ukraine yet?
No. And okay, real quick, I have a question. And I actually don't expect you to have an answer for it.
Fair enough.
I don't expect anybody to have a legitimate answer for it, because here's my question: what do they mean when they say triple vaxxed? And for context, I keep hearing people referred to as triple vaxxed and boosted. So, okay, if triple vaxxed means you got the vaccine and then 2 boosters, so you've had 3 total injections, I could probably understand that.
Okay.
But I keep hearing triple vaxxed and boosted. Does that mean that you just went out and got everything? You went out and got the Pfizer, the Moderna, and the Johnson? And then you got it, because I'm pretty sure that was supposed to be a bad idea.
Actually, I think I can answer this question, and I think that's just the way that certain members of the media and then people on social media itself are explaining people that have had 3 jabs. And so, triple vaxxed and boosted, it's one of those things where they're being redundant in explaining it over and over again in order to impress upon you that, I swear they got the jab. I swear. Anyhow.
So, real quick, our thumbnail this morning was almost this picture with the words, "nothing to see here."
Right? Because there's nothing to see here.
Well, they're both looking away.
Oh, no, I get it.
And is this Maxwell?
I think that's Maxwell.
Poor thing. Poor thing.
Hey, Danielle joined us. Good morning, Danny.
Yeah, I see Danny's with us. Good morning, sunshine. I hope you've got your coffee. Jean-Luc Brunel, the French modeling agent accused of procuring over 1,000 women and girls for Jeffery Epstein, was discovered hanging in his Paris prison cell Saturday morning while security cameras were reportedly not working. Okay, so this headline is interesting because...
Technical errors.
Well, it says procuring over 1,000 women and girls for Jeffrey Epstein. According to Epstein's claims and reports, he personally had sex with 1,000 women or girls provided by Jean-Luc Brunel. But the evidence also seems to indicate that Brunel was actively supplying Epstein's kind of harem for the elites. So I think the math there is that Brunel procured many more than 1,000 women for Epstein generally. But at the end of the day, basically what I'm saying is we're not talking about good people here.
Oh, no, look, it could just be 1,000, as disgusting as this is. Like, it's like trying out a new recipe. Your mom tries it, says, oh, yeah, that's a fantastic way to make guacamole, and then she tells everybody else. It's the same thing. He'd hand them to Epstein, he'd sample the goods.
He'd try them out and
then call his buddies and be like, oh, yeah, this one's worth $1,000 an hour, trust me.
Yeah, I suspect those numbers are a little low. But, so, the 76-year-old's apparent suicide bears striking similarities to, by the way, this is from, just up front, this is from Breitbart. So there is they do have a bias, right?
Everybody has a bias.
Which is to be reasonable.
Well,
the 76-year-old's apparent suicide bears striking similarities to Epstein's death in August of 2019, where, and I quote, U.S. authorities later said that technical errors led to the CCTV footage of the convicted sex offender's prison cell being lost. Okay.
Now that's Epstein. I was just saying, no, that's Epstein.
I read it directly off the page. Yes, similarities to Epstein's death, where U.S. authorities later said bears striking similarities. I'm with you.
Well, I was explaining to them, not you.
So, let's think back to 2019 for a moment, when everybody first heard that Epstein killed himself. Let's not forget that just a week before Epstein apparently hanged himself with the paper sheet from the non-terminal fall distance without
hard enough to break his hyoid bone.
Let's not forget that he was assaulted and nigh on murdered the week prior by his cellmate. I wish I could remember the guy's name now, but it was, this guy was a dirty cop that got busted in coke rings and had ties to the Clinton family. And his last name was basically Mafia Member 1, right? It was basically Wise Guy 1 from random Scorsese flick. He read like an extra member from any Scorsese cast.
I don't remember him being assaulted. I don't remember him. Maybe I'm wrong, but I just don't remember him being assaulted by his cellie.
Yeah. Got the absolute shit beat out of him by what was like obviously a Clinton-connected dirty cop. Yeah, multiple murder, dirty cop, drug cartel,
I don't remember that. But anyhow.
Yeah, but yeah, right before there was a clear attempt by a known Clinton associate to murder Epstein in his cell, and then like a week or two later, Epstein was found having had Epsteined himself, while they just happened to have the security cameras off and the suicide watch guards, whose job it is to watch him constantly because there's a risk of suicide, just happened to all be occupied with something else, like shopping for disassembled furniture.
Now, that part I do remember. That's even better. Like, at first they told everybody they were asleep. And, like, literally, okay, they were about as far away from his cell as I am. Oh, right, okay. And they fell asleep. That part I do remember.
So...
Now, we'll take him off suicide watch and put him in a cell. It'll be fine. It's fine. And then the cameras magically don't work. God, you're just right in your face with it.
Stryker says that Selly died of the coof. Now, that I did not hear. I'm not going to go look that up right now, but that's hilarious.
Yeah.
And not at all suspicious.
Stick with Jean-Luc.
So, well... No, I'll get back to Jean-Luc in just a minute. I'm still setting up the Epstein thing, because the other thing that I want you all to remember about the Epstein thing is this. That Epstein committed suicide was so unbelievable at the time that it occurred that we literally had months before his suicide that one of the most common jokes you would see on the internet was that Epstein was going to kill himself in prison, right? The joke, what you heard things like it was going to be an Arizona suicide. The jokes were constant. Epstein, like everybody knew. I mean, everybody knew that Epstein was going to be murdered in prison.
You know, that could be the last time there was actual unity in this country.
Yeah,
because
the last thing America agreed on. Epstein
because the right and the left
is going to be murdered, and it's going to be set up as a suicide.
Well, and then when it happened, the right and the left alike were both like, boy, that's suspicious as hell. And that's the last time we all agreed. Like,
hey, Alex is asking, this is totally off topic, but since you're asking, Alex, I actually tried to set up my Truth Social this morning. I'm not sure. I'm confused on what's going on there, because I went to, I think it's truthsocial.com, and it's like it lets you get on a waiting list. So I was on the waiting list already at some point, and I haven't seen an email or anything about that. So I'm a little confused as to exactly what's going on there, and I think that might be a tech. I mean, if it confused me, then it's probably given a lot of people a hard time. Because this is one of those things. It's like Candace Taylor running for governor. Not if I haven't heard of you. You're not. So. Let's dig into Brunel for a minute. A night patrol found his lifeless body at about 1 a.m., a source told the Daily Mail of Brunel's death. A judicial inquiry has been launched and early evidence points to suicide.
Well, of course it does. Wow, we didn't even plan that.
The Daily Express reports, and remember, this sentence up here, the 76-year-old's apparent suicide bears striking similarities to Epstein's death in August 2019, where U.S. authorities later said that technical errors led to the CC footage of the convicted sex offender's prison cell being lost, the Daily Express reports. That is about Epstein, like Cameron pointed out. The Daily Express reports that the apparent suicide, now we're talking about Brunel, in a different country. Remember, this happened in Paris. This did not happen in New York. Epstein was murdered in New York, right?
Right. He was suicided.
Right. But Brunel was totally not murdered in Paris, where the security cameras were reportedly not working. Brunel is thought to have been alone at the time of his death, and there were no cameras to record his final hours. His final hours. This isn't even like, this isn't even like we switched him off, did the do, and then switched him back on to walk out. No. We wanted a nice big open window of possibility to wedge an alibi into. You don't want that alibi hole to be too square when you're coming around with your triangular peg. His lawyers, Matthias Kikportik, wow.
Shiportish.
Shippertich! Marianne Abgral and Christopher Ingrain.
No, Christophe.
Christophe Ingrain released a statement on his death, according to French newspaper Le Monde. The World? That's adorable.
Yes.
His distress was that of a 75-year-old man crushed by a media judicial system on which it would be time to wonder. Jean-Luc Brunel has continued to proclaim his innocence. He multiplied his efforts to prove it. His decision was not driven by guilt, but a deep sense of injustice. Several models have leveled accusations against Brunel, who was indicted last June for alleged rape of a minor over 15 years old. Le Monde reports Brunel was already in pretrial detention following previous allegations that resulted in the December 2020 indictment for rape of a minor over 15 years old and sexual harassment of 2 other women.
Sean Stryker gets the top comment. That's just fantastic. Arkancided.
Arkancided, that's it. Arkancided. That's excellent.
Oh, see, you knew exactly. No,
and by the way, guys, if you're watching on YouTube, Alex McDonald just made a fantastic point from the Polytech Show, which you should watch every Monday and Thursday evening at 9, and with Danny, who we love as well. But we get paid for Rumble. And if you're still on YouTube...
Thanks, but we get paid on Rumble.
We appreciate the views, but we need to buy more cameras.
Well, would like
need.
To. Well... Specifically, lenses would probably, at this point...
Fair to say, a shitload of cameras.
There's no such thing as too many, though. You never know.
That is correct. So...
Look, if you don't mind, let me back up and just really stress this point, okay? I, unfortunately, have spent a small amount of time in my life incarcerated. Y'all, even in, like, a low-security facility, killing somebody... It's not easy to do unless you're an inmate. And even then, you're probably going to get caught, okay? So, in most places, okay, you're going to walk through multiple layers of magnetically sealed doors to get to where you're going. And y'all, a magnetically sealed door, like the old school, like, tunnel through the bars type things would actually be easier to get through. Like when the magnets are on, you're not opening that door.
Yeah.
Like, okay.
You can have as many deadbolts on a door as you like. I can kick it down. The magnetic locks don't work like that.
No, not at all, okay? So you've got all these magnetically sealed doors, and I'm telling you, to get to somebody's cell, you're going to have to pass through a minimum of 3 of them, and in most facilities, 5, okay? But whatever. And then there are cameras everywhere. Okay? I mean, everywhere. So if one camera goes out, okay, there are other cameras that are going to fill in the gap. Okay? So to have multiple cameras go out, just that one thing by itself, okay, is, well, it stretches the levels of credibility. Okay, because there's going to be a camera that's on the door, because most jails have got a pod, and then each pod has got anywhere from 8 to 20 cells, and it depends on how the unit itself is set up. There's going to be a camera on the hallway, there's going to be a camera on the door, and then there's going to be a camera in the pod. So that's 3 cameras right there, which means, and I'm going to assume that this French prison, jail, whatever, is set up at least something similar. There's 3 cameras that led up to this guy's cell. And all 3 cameras didn't work. And I guarantee you with the Epstein thing, dude was in a, wouldn't that have maximum security facility?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so, same thing. At least 3 cameras leading up to his cell. And then all of them failed. And that's the thing that kills us. All right? That's the thing. Of everything else, it could just be that your cellmate, beat you to death or whatever. That's the one thing convicts don't like. Like, you diddle kids, and they're going to try and break you in half. It just is what it is. But no, instead, they magically commit suicide and the cameras just don't work. Like, that's...
Yeah, that's not how these things happen.
That is not how these things happen at all. And just to be clear, I do think they learned their lesson a little bit here, because last time, remember, like, nobody checked on Epstein until, like, 6 a.m. the next morning?
Right.
Well, they were smart enough to go ahead and do the middle of the night count. Because in most places and in most countries, they've got a thing where they're going to count all the prisoners multiple times a day, and at least once over the middle of the night for safety reasons. You know, like if somebody escapes, you don't want it to be 24 hours before you figure out that they have escaped.
Right. You want to get the dogs out right now.
Right. And then on top of all that, there is a safety concern. Okay. If somebody, for example, you know, is having a medical issue in the middle of the night and it's quiet, well, you want to find them before they die. Right. Well, man, that didn't work out for Jean-Luc at all, did it? So yeah, they learned a little bit of a lesson here. What are you serious?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Chris thinks he's hilarious. Yeah, it's hilarious. I wondered what you were over there doing. Thanks, buddy. Thanks. Are you okay? Back to commentary.
I'm sorry, I couldn't help it. That was too funny to leave there.
So, you know, however, this does go back to a question we talked about before. Why is Maxwell not being Arkancided? And that's the term I'm going to use.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Like, that's fantastic. Thank you. Why is Maxwell not being Arkancided? And have you seen the meme with like Bart Simpson where he's blind and it's like the media when you purchase a 15-year-old girl from Epstein's Island, and then he's like looking through a telescope and it's the media when you donate $40 to a Trucker Freedom rally? Because that's the thing. Like, it couldn't possibly be that hard to start digging into the names on these lists.
Right.
Right? And I like the point that Styx made. There might be so many well-off and connected people that exposing everybody on these lists and having them go into exile and or prison could potentially give a giant hiccup to the economy, because there's that many wealthy people that might be, which I'm fine with. You go through economic corrections all the time, and if the kitty diddlers are forced to retire in shame,
maybe at a point in the economy right now that hiccup would be an inflation pause.
Fair enough. And look,
I mean, imagine if we locked up so many bad people that we had to switch off the printing presses for half an hour.
Yeah, no kidding.
You know what happens when you switch off all the printing presses? Inflation stops. It doesn't go down. It literally stops. Because it's the only place that inflation occurs is at the printing press. So, I got one more top comment that I have to award for Ted Cruz responding to the news. The Independent reports breaking Jeffery Epstein associate Jean-Luc Brunel found dead in cell. Ted Cruz tweets it out. Anyone know where Hillary was this weekend? That's for you, Teddy. And it doesn't quite redeem you for your terrorist remarks, but I'll put that one in the win column for you, sweetheart. It's a step in the right direction.
Yeah.
So I think the line to draw here, and it's about time to start wrapping this up. I'm amazed that Maxwell is still alive. I'm amazed that Maxwell is still alive. In fact, that Maxwell is still alive makes me wonder who has the copy of her little black book and is the anonymous person, or even better, how many copies of her little black book are sitting out there waiting to be published to a series of websites and handed out to just basically every media outlet.
Well, we thought Epstein had a dead man switch.
And he didn't. And
he did.
It may be that Epstein's dead man switch was Maxwell, and now Maxwell has her own dead man switch, and the thing that got Epstein killed was his dead man switch was identified and nullified.
I mean, maybe, but I think with Maxwell, maybe it's just possible that that whoever the powers that be, I don't know, like the royal family or the Clintons or Harvey Weinstein's crew, whatever. And yes, I named those three groups of people on purpose.
Yeah.
Sat down with Maxwell and said, look, you have two choices. And she said, oh no, I'm taking option B. I don't even need to know what option A is. I'm taking option B. Okay? I saw what happened to Jeffy. I'm good. Yeah. I'm good. Option B. Option B. Okay, well then we're going to have a conversation with the judge and the prosecutor. You're going to have to do some time, but it's only going to be some.
Now, there is some talk, there has been some talk that she's starting to soften on her position of keeping her clients anonymous. So she's definitely threatened to expose the clients. And I wonder if that doesn't I'm wondering if that doesn't also affect the direction of some of these other events.
You know, it's entirely possible that that a conversation was had that was like, okay, if you have no choice but to give up some names to make this happen,
here's the list.
Here's the approved list. Yep. These people are just not big enough fish to count.
Well, and it very well may be. God, this hadn't even occurred to me until just now. It very well may be that she's basically kept on retainer with her little black book, and that's the new cancel culture mechanism. You have, for example, a major media platform controller. You have a CEO like Zucker, who says the wrong thing or doesn't censor the right thing, and then all of a sudden, by the way, isn't this you by the pyramid with the 12-year-old? So,
no, I think it's pretty clear. I mean, since he got an apartment with his lover, that he likes women that are over 18. He went out of his way to be around her.
Yeah, maybe that's just 15 years. Maybe that's just as low as he could get.
Ew. No, that's not what I meant. I meant literally that. Oh, no, I literally meant I don't think we can accuse Jeff Zucker of any type of pederasty at this point. Like, that's, oh, God, you took that in a way darker direction than I was going with it.
Yeah, there's a big difference between 60 and 75 and between the 25 to 10. So. But
anyhow, whew, likes. Okay, so, but just to be clear, like, at this point, it's like second verse, same as the first, right? Like, nobody thinks Jean-Luc killed himself. Like, at all. And
most of you didn't know who Jean-Luc Brunel was until he didn't kill himself. But as soon as it was Jean-Luc Brunel, Epstein associate, apparently committed suicide. As soon as you heard those words, it was like, oh, well, this is obviously a lie.
Was this being normalized right in our faces? Or like, at this point, because I hate to admit it, but emotionally, this does not pack the same punch for me as the whole Epstein thing. And it's not because I didn't know who Jean-Luc was, and here's your F-bomb, but it's more like, well, because of course, fucking of course.
Well, and so, actually, I'm glad you brought that up. I'm kind of not because I need to get moving. But when Epstein died, we had been joking about it. We had been joking about how, well, obviously they're going to suicide Epstein. They're going to arc inside Epstein. Or Epstein is going to be murdered in prison, and the entire news media complex that tried to sell you the Russia hoax is going to cover it up. They're going to work full time to cover it up and pretend like it wasn't a suicide. But right up until it actually happened, we really were joking about it. Right up until it actually happened, it seemed like a tinfoil hat Alex Jones type conspiracy. But the second Epstein's body was revealed, and we saw the news media just clamoring to say, oh, it was a suicide. It was obviously a suicide. Clearly a suicide. This was totally a suicide. Nothing suspicious. Nothing to see here. Like, as soon as that happened, I was like, okay. You fold up some tinfoil and...
Good Lord, smoke some DMT and sit down with Joe Rogan.
To the Clockwork Elves.
Yeah, right.
That was a paradigm-shifting moment for most people. Even people who were already completely bought in on every ludicrous conspiracy theory. Even your frickin' reptoid conspiracy theorists. At that moment, well, we lost them. We lost them entirely because that right there, the Epstein murder, that verified every ludicrous conspiracy theory that they believed in. For those of us that weren't like fanatically religiously bought in to all of the tinfoil hat conspiracy theories, every single one of us who was a rational person who understood that, okay, there are conspiracy theories. Many of them are interesting, funny. It's worth laughing at some of these people. Every now and then, one of them touches on something significant that might be worth looking into. But for the most part, no. Every one of us moved a degree hotter on all the conspiracy theories. That's not to say that suddenly you believe every conspiracy theory. That's not to say that suddenly you believe that the Fifth Reich is building rockets on the other side of the moon vis-a-vis Iron Sky, which if you haven't seen is freaking hilarious. But it is to say that if you made it all the way to Epstein's murder and didn't think that Hillary's emails were a problem, you probably rethought that position at least a little bit. Because as soon as Epstein bit it, that was like taking the mask off.
Yeah, but okay, so we had this moment where suddenly everybody, and I think it's important to, like, this was the last moment of unification, okay? I sincerely was, good Lord, this is going to be the thing we're telling our grandchildren. Yeah, the last time everybody in the country agreed on something was when a kitty diddler didn't commit suicide, because he was rich as shit and could have mounted a defense, right? And then all it took was a few years later, all they had to do was beat us down with a virus that's the worst thing ever, and then suddenly maybe it's not the worst thing ever, and we're just so sick of being told what to do and locked up in our homes and everything else that a guy that is probably just as guilty, if not more so than Epstein himself, right, goes through the same thing, and everybody's like, meh, I'm not surprised. And then they just don't care, and they move on. Like, is this? Have we been herded into a specific place? Because we've talked about this before. The only way you can ever manipulate people is through emotions, right? Mm-hmm. And so now that they've beat us down, and we're just so happy to experience the tiny bit of freedom that they are now allowing us to have, so we can take off these stupid masks and go eat at Golden Corral again, right? Well, now they're just going to flout this right in their face, right? This could be you.
Yeah.
Oh, you think your security cameras? Hey, all of you with Ring doorbell cameras, you trust those?
I don't want to talk about this on the phone. The CIA might be wiretapping me. 1957, 2022. Hey, wiretap, can you find me a good recipe for pancakes?
Yeah. Yeah, and all that time, Trump was right. He was absolutely being spied on.
Yeah. Yep. All right, guys. Y'all be safe out there. I think I'm headed to... Shit, I don't know where I'm going this morning. I checked my
Somewhere.
schedule. I'm on my way out. Y'all be safe. We'll see you soon.